Global Miranda Minor Group, our home of the culture of Malasakit. This is the Global Miranda Minor Group.
Love you 3,000.
And Habak 3,000 from
Love
UAE.
you 3,000.
Ti amo 3,000.
Para kami dahil 3,000.
Welcome to another edition of Coach Miranda Minor's Daily Technical Charting, Fundamentals, Improvement of Trading Quotient, and everything about crypto all in one channel.
Get to know more about cryptocurrency trading from Coach Miranda Minor. Watch our daily technical analysis, fundamental analysis, exclusive interviews, and everything about crypto all in one channel.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce to you the one and only, the voice that introduced, pitikin kita sa ilong, isang hampas na lang ng palakol, the power of yet. Please, let's give it up to our pambansang crypto coach, Coach Miranda Minor.
Hey guys, hello. This is Coach Miranda Minor, and today is a very special day because we're gonna be interviewing, one of the industry heavyweights, particularly on, investment analysis and all different things. Nako, I'm lacking of words because it's rare we have such a gem in our show, Kamiranda. We have been interviewing a lot of mga industry heavyweights, but this one stands out. And I will have her, I will have you guys get to know her in a few, no? Sabi ko nga lagi, make sure that you focus on her. Because for me, I don't need to because she will always get it. Kamiranda. So, today's gonna be a very important day, Kamiranda, because a prelude of our many fundamental heavyweights topic in the next couple of weeks. Yung series natin ngayon, we have people that are in the industry already. And of course, we're very happy to have April Litan from COL as our guest for tonight. Pag-usapan natin, no? Nako, yung lagi yung mga tinatanong sa akin before, Coach, ano ba yung Fed na yan? Ano ba yung mga, ano ba ang effect ng Fed na yan? Ba't tumaas na naman ng PCE, Coach? Ano ba naman yan? Akala ko ba okay na sila? Akala ko ba nananahimik na si Powell? No, we're gonna be asking opinions of an expert at this point. And of course, guys, Kamirana, please don't forget to click on like and subscribe to our channel. And by the way, Kamirana, this program is brought to us by Feast Gold, Buildy, Global Miranda Minor Group, and of course, together with the company of the guest that we have today, COL Financial, Kamiranda.
You are listening to Coach Miranda Minor in his daily crypto live.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And it looks like people in the chat room are already running crazy. All right. Without further ado, because I have her already waiting in the other line. That's all welcome. Let me introduce first, who is our guest for today, and let's all listen to this, Kamiranda.
We are very proud to have April Tan, CFA and the Chief Equity Strategist in our show. Aprilyn C. Lee Tan, CFA, is Vice President at COL Financial Group Incorporated and has been head of research since 2003. Tan served as President of CFA Society Philippines from 2009 to 2016. Before assuming the post of President, She also served as the association's secretary and has been the director of the Investment Research Challenge Committee since 2008. Tan has been involved in equity research since 1996 when she joined the research team of COL Financial Group Incorporated. She is a certified securities representative and in 2000 earned the right to use the Chartered Financial Analyst designation.
This is the Global Miranda Minor Group, our home of the culture of Malasakit. This is
All right. Woo! Nako, grabe. All right, April, we are live already. Hello, hello. Kamusta? Magandang gabi.
Hi, magandang gabi sa'yo, Coach, and also to your viewers uh, this this evening, and of course, yung mga manonood sa mga replay. Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you, thank you. And I know you're obviously up and running since maybe even before the market opens kanina, no, sa Philippines market. And thank you for giving us your time. It's already 9 p.m. ng gabi. All right. Thank you, no. So, all right. Let me just ask a couple of questions, no. I think let's just go dive in already because ito yung maraming tanong ngayon, eh, no. In your perspective, April, what is your opinion about what's happening in the US market today? You know, tumataas ang interest rates, you know, mukhang sabi nila mukhang hindi titigil sa 4.75, baka mag 6% pa nga, no? What's your opinion about that, and give us your thought process on what's potentially happening there?
Okay, I guess the answer is very complicated. Eh. Well, on the one hand, okay, as far as the rate hikes are concerned, I guess kasi you have two camps. There's one camp that says, you know, Fed, sumusobra ka na. Kasi if you look at inflation, actually, the headline inflation has been going down after peaking at 9.1% in June. And it's trending lower. And then, of course, meron tayo yung inflation ng tinatawag nating goods inflation.
Right.
So, yung goods inflation, bumababa na rin. Tapos, yun nga, I guess for our mga kababayans who go to the US, who went to the US and went shopping, di ba nga may inventory, yung mga over-inventory or
right.
inventory glut. That's why makakabili ka ng mga sale items. Marami sila.
Oh.
But, you know, that said, the Fed continues to increase interest rates because sinasabi nga niya, kulang pa yan because we're seeing inflation naman in services. Because, and of course, the jobs number remains very strong. Yun na nga, tinitignan ng mga wage hikes, unemployment rates, job openings, ganyan. So, you know, those numbers remain very high. That's why the Fed is, you know, yeah, we still have to keep on raising rates. And secondly kasi, ang pagpansin ninyo, nagsalita si Paul Volcker dati.
Yes.
He always talks about, nalito na tuloy ako. He always talks about Paul Volcker. Si Jay Powell will always talk about Paul Volcker. And if you think about what happened ba before, who is Paul Volcker? So in the 1970s, 1980s, we had a similar scenario as what is happening today, where inflation, you know, you saw a runaway inflation. Okay. So nung time na yon, the only way that inflation was beat when Paul Volcker raised rates aggressively.
Sobrang taas ng double digits, grabe.
Yeah, so tinaas niya ng malaki. Ang naging problema kasi noon, nung tinaas niya aggressively, the US economy went into a recession. So when the US economy went into a recession, Paul Volcker cut rates right away. But after he did that, inflation went up again. And then he had to raise rates again. So ngayon, first of all, ang naging issue kasi dito kay Jay Powell, in 2021, towards the later part.
Nanahimik sila, no?
Parang pataas na yung inflation.
Right.
Marami na nagsabi, pataas na kasi nag-reopen na yung US, malakas siya. So, tumataas na inflation. Pero si Jay Powell at the time, no.
Transitory.
Transitory. Then, it's not that hot. We gotta wait until it's like more sticky. And then when he started raising rates, mabagal, di ba? 25 yung una.
25, yes. Oo.
And then all of a sudden, di ba,
Nag-75.
inflation hit a multi-year high. And then, syempre late na siya. So, parang medyo may napahiya na siya. Kasi yung maling akala. So, he was late in the game. So, now, he's being doubly, triply sure. I'm sure he knows that the goods inflation is going down, and of course the other economists would highlight that jobs are a lagging indicator, consumer confidence is poor, etc., etc. But the Fed just wants to be doubly, triply sure that inflation is going to be beat before they stop raising rates. So that's why they keep on raising rates right now.
Do you see it?
Yeah, I guess the good part is finally, in his latest speech, he talked about disinflation. Ibig sabihin, i-recognize niya, there are signs that our rate hikes are working, even though they work with a lag, bumabagal na siya. So that's the good part.
Every time that he talks, parang talagang everyone's watching for everything that he's saying,
Oh yeah.
Speaking of Paul Volcker, I mean, do you agree? I mean, he cannot really imitate Paul because obviously during the 70s, the difference is the deficit. I think US right now is on a budget deficit, and maybe during the 70s they're not really. So do you agree that they're not necessary? They need to be careful in avoiding hard landing in this case. For the most part, they wanted to make sure na dahan-dahan pa din yung interest rates paakyat, maybe until 6%.
Well, I don't know if they really believe in their heart of hearts that there won't be a hard landing. Of course, that is their hope. Yeah. And of course, there are indicators that seem to support that hope, which is of course the strong jobs numbers.
Yes.
And ganito na lang, pag tignan natin yung mga consensus forecast ng mga analysts, no? For example, the Bloomberg consensus forecast, the probability of a recession is not 100%. It's like 65%. GDP growth is still 0.5%. So, I mean, I don't do forecasts of GDP, but that seems to support the view na, hey, you can keep on raising rates or just keep it elevated. So I guess that's the risk, no? So the market, what is the market saying? Why is the market rallying, or why did it rally since September, October, and of course including all risk assets, including cryptocurrencies, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah, all assets rallied. Because the bond rate started to go down, the bond market seemed to believe or that inflation is showing signs of going down. Therefore, if that is the case, then the Fed would inevitably have to pivot.
Right.
And the thinking is the Fed will pivot without the U.S. economy, or it will be successful in allowing the economy to continue to grow. So there's no hard landing, so to speak. Kasi 'di ba, pagpansinin mo nung 'di ba all risk assets were going up. So what was happening to the peso? The peso after depreciating nag-appreciate.
Yeah.
So the DXY, which is the dollar trading at the basket of currencies, after appreciating so much last year, stopped appreciating. It began to go down. Then commodity prices also started to go down. So parang nandun na yung view na the Fed is successful. It just caused a disinflation, a slower growth in the economy, but there won't be any recession.
Right.
So and of course, I think medyo na oversold na rin yung mga risk assets, di ba?
So you think based on that lens, April, do you have a quarter four repivot? Kasi ako, at least in my opinion, maybe 25, 25, 25, 25 up until June. We pause for a bit. We probably do cut rates Q4, at least following the dot plot on 2024 for the median rates. I don't know what's your expectations on that.
Ah, you know, okay. I guess that the correct question is, if they do pivot,
If they do
what does
pivot,
that
yeah.
mean? What does that mean? Diba? For me, yun yung issue eh. Kasi if hopefully if they pivot, it's because okay, they feel like we've beaten inflation and we'll just do what is necessary. Kasi parang ang concern is if the economy is still doing well, they will not pivot, diba? Okay, so if they pivot, kasi yun, that's why you have a lot of, you have this camp that's super bearish about the U.S. economy. And they're saying, well, if the Fed pivots, it just means that the U.S. economy is having a hard landing. If the U.S. economy is not going to have a hard landing, then there won't be any pivot,
Quite interesting. Very interesting. May mga nagsasabi nga na what if they cut rates and inflation is still very high? I mean, do we wanna parang back to scratch ka na naman, you're gonna be increasing rates again, no? And I think that's
Yeah.
that's where Powell is coming from. They just observe.
Yeah, they won't be cutting it, unfortunately, because Jay Powell's idol is Paul Volcker, and he wants to, he's looking at the lessons during that time, which was a premature rate cut, no, and what that meant.
Pwede bang isipin ngayon ng mga traders na pwedeng priced in na tong inflation na to? And potentially it's impacting the appetite on high-risk assets today, April?
Yeah, okay. So is it priced in? I think, okay, to a certain degree, it is priced in. I think the problem is what's not priced in. Okay, let's go to the US market. Kasi ang S&P 500 at this point is not cheap. So yeah, let's say maybe they're factoring in high inflation, etc. But the valuation kasi, for example, the S&P 500 is still trading at par with its historical average PE, and then EPS growth, okay. Earlier this year, they were projecting, say, a 6-7% EPS growth for the S&P 500. Now it's at flat year on year. Pero are they too bearish?
It's still expensive to your point. I mean, regardless. Okay.
Is it at the 4,000? Actually, I think the timing of our talk today is very it's very good, because we are at a very critical level right now. And I was asking,
I would agree.
Diba, parang everybody's like talking, will 4,000 hold?
Yeah, will it break? Key support level ka na from a technician perspective eh. Yeah.
Yeah. So yan ang because the fundamentalist will tell you it won't hold. It's gonna break because the market is expensive at this point, because we're just trading at par with historical averages. Of course, with much higher interest rates, and of course with a lot of downside risk in terms of earnings. So, syempre, if it were trading at a much lower level, then I would say na mas wala tayong risk, or mas maganda yung risk na mag-bounce siya kaysa bumaba.
So speaking of that, so let's kind of go now to the Philippines market. No, with some of the stocks in the States, relatively from a valuation perspective, a bit expensive, no. And at least in my opinion, I think the Philippines market stocks is not really a choice or a market to go ng mga foreigners, di ba? Really underweight tayo sa portfolio nila. Let's talk about the Philippines. So with this thing that I think will carry over Q4 of this year, what's your thought process on PSEI? Are we potentially going to hit, are we going to be back, 7K, 7.4 in your standpoint? And what's your perspective of the Philippines landscape today from an investment standpoint?
I mean, I really hope so. Because, okay, I guess let's just review it. Rewind to 2022. Actually, 2022, from a fundamental perspective, was a good year for the Philippine economy because, of course, the economy grew much stronger than expected. Corporate earnings recovered much better than expected because of the reopening of the economy. This year, I think we'll still have a positive GDP growth regardless of what happens in the US. No, so positive in terms of fundamentals. But I think the problem is, uh, first of all, our inflation hasn't peaked yet. So yan yung naging issue, no? So that's why medyo natakot din yung natakot yung mga tao. Q1 January inflation was 8.7%, much higher than expected. And because of that, the BSP had to raise rates by 50 basis points, much faster than the Fed rate hike, no? And then the Governor Medalla saying we're going to raise it again in the next meeting. So I guess that is the near-term risk. But I think, if the market corrects, siguro maganda rin namang bumili. Kasi nga, feeling ko sobra naman talagang mura yung Philippine stock. So I think we have a better chance. It's more like, I think if ever we do go up, it won't go up in a straight line. It will,
You'll see higher lows. Yeah.
Higher lows siya.
Right. With the China reopening, you think we can potentially attract, foreigners to kind of see emerging market stocks at this point?
Oh, yeah. Kasi nga, yung mga things na hina-highlight nila, why emerging markets, valuations are much cheaper for emerging markets. Then, of course, with the in emerging markets, for example, you have China that's already starting to stimulate the economy, the Chinese government.
Right.
So may ganong factors, and of course the economic growth outlook is much better. EM Asia, for instance, would benefit more from a China reopening because of course the Chinese tourists would come in. So may mga ganong factors that are more unique for emerging markets, and of course yung much cheaper valuations. 10 years of underperformance versus the
Agree.
US.
Tagal na natin, no? Sa Tinga Philippines. So is it because we're just, consuming what we have and we're not really attracting the foreigners at this point? So to speak.
Kung bakit tayo nag-underperform? Well, a lot of interesting things. Kasi I think one of the main issues is, of course, you think about it, the US, actually the global economy or all central banks the past 10 years were at a rate cutting cycle.
Right.
So easy monetary policy.
Yeah.
And the sectors that benefited would be mga tech issues, diba? Which of course we don't have any
We don't
of
have,
those.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, Asia would have some, but not a lot. But the US had a lot of it. And if you think about the weighting of the tech issues, say in the S&P 500 and all the other indices, medyo mabigat sila. So, yun, nakakatulong talaga yung mga yon.
And dyan pumasok yung crypto, actually considered as a high-risk asset, no? They have preference now. They're considering Bitcoin as a tech stock as well. And at least in my purview, naging ganun nga when they were quantitative easing, people were celebrating, and obviously ang dami mga stocks na nagliparang, particularly the tech stocks. So, speaking of in the Philippine sectors right now, I think you kind of alluded a little bit on the China reopening, yung mga sectors na magbe-benefit, no? Can you further expound on that, April? At least on the Philippine sectors, no?
Yeah, so for the Philippines, of course, the beneficiaries would be your gaming stocks like Bloomberry, no? And maybe some travel stocks. Yung mga hotels kasi unfortunately, we don't have mga pure plays eh. Usually, for example, Ayala would have their hotels inside Ayala Land, Robinson, same things. They'd have it inside Robinson's Land, and they're a small part. So we don't have plays like that. Well, maybe Cebu Pacific would benefit a little bit. Yung mga ganun.
Mm-hmm.
But mainly it's really Bloomberry, no?
Okay. Uh, I think I need to, I almost forget this question. No? So when we were talking offline about this, if the US cannot avoid the hard landing, inflation remains hot, labor sector remains very hot in the States, can Philippines or the EMs decouple at least?
Okay, I think that's really a very tough question. I also have that question because some would argue that, okay, historically, there has never been a decoupling, okay? But there's another camp, as I told you, in our office. We talk about it. So sabi nila, if, let's say, the US has a hard landing and the market doesn't fall below the previous low, yung let's say, it's just drifts lower.
Yeah, yeah.
Hanggang nagsawa na lang lahat ng traders, ayaw na lang i-trade ang US. Then, we can decouple. Kasi ang view nga nila is yung mga tao sa office namin. yung mga,
So dalawa yung kampo sa office niyo. Two perspectives.
yeah, kasi at least, let's just keep our minds open because, it could happen. Kasi sabi nila, unlike in the past, okay, you think about it, the global financial crisis, what happened? Di ba nag-collapse yung Lehman Brothers, nag-ano yung mga bank. So, if you don't have, say, a banking crisis, which is probably not gonna happen this time around, then, baka nga walang forced liquidation na nagmamadali. So, sell at any price. Because if you have a bank collapsing or some issue like that, then you have forced liquidation, then yun na nga, all asset classes just go down, di ba? Kasi people just don't care. They just need to raise capital. They have margin calls, etc., XYZ. So yeah, if that happens, then no decoupling. But
No decoupling.
I guess if it's a slow grind lower, then we might decouple. But that said, I mean, okay, let's say, well, first of all, that's the reason why we recommend investors to hold a little bit of cash because the times are really uncertain right now.
So this year you recommend that dry powder, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Oo.
Okay.
Because there's so much uncertainty. Like, okay, I'm sure you're a technician and the charts are just saying across the board that it's
crazy.
a buy.
Yeah.
The markets are strong, So, okay, I don't know why, but well, fundamentally there are reasons, but there are also very compelling reasons on the other side. But if one of the things that I've learned through my experience is you can't be too proud. You have to listen to what the market says because you might be missing something. So if I look at the market, it's saying it's strong. So I'd be observing it, but at in the back of my head, I'm a little cautious.
That's what I'm saying to my community. We need to be cautiously optimistic at this point. I mean, still put some cash, from a portfolio diversification. For me, it's actually, well, because I do teach crypto, a portion of it goes to crypto, but a portion should be set aside as a fiat currency. So on that point, April. So, sectors wise, do you think the bank will continue to benefit considering interest rates are very high?
Oh,
Di
yeah.
ba? Are they going to continue this year? So Metro Bank will be a good pick, or BPI or banks for the most part.
Yeah, the big three banks will definitely be good. They're the favorites, so automatically they're the first ones that say foreign investors will buy, and also because the big banks have a larger low cost deposit base. So as interest rates go up. Ito na lang ang tanong ko sa inyo, yung mga interest pa sa savings and checking account nyo tumaas. Hindi, di ba?
Halos hindi, parang wala rin kasi nataas ang
Oo.
bilihin eh.
So, but let's say during the pandemic, di ba, binabaan nila yung interest rate na binibigay nila sa deposit. Pero ngayong tapos na yung pandemic, tumaas na ang interest rate, hindi naman sila nagdadagdag ng interest deposit eh. Pero sa lending, nagtataas sila.
Yes.
Diba?
Yes.
Which is why they are earning higher margins.
Oh, Miranda, you heard, parang good insight para sa inyo yan, ah.
Yeah. So yun, that's on the one hand. On the other hand also, try nyo, Pero paano yan pag tumaas ang interest rate? 'Di ba tataas yung mga hindi makakabayad, dadami sila. Surprisingly, that was what they thought would happen during the pandemic. The NPL ratio, the non-performing loans, didn't really go up. So, ibig sabihin, yung pagka-stricto nila sa pagpapautang prior to the pandemic paid off.
Oo.
Yung mga pinautang nila, yung mga talagang
Kayang magbayad.
kaya talaga, nahirapan at lahat, di kaya nila. So yeah, that's why, it looks like I think they'll be okay.
Got it. All right. Siguro before we go with the stock picks na favorite ng maraming Miranda for today, no, I would like to kind of also ask as well the Philippines economy, no. So obviously may deficit tayo ngayon. Our debt to GDP ratio medyo umakyat. Obviously we're kind of taming down a bit, no, from a debt to GDP ratio. In your standpoint, do you see this economy, the Philippines economy, supportive of the investment landscape today? At least do we now see us getting out of the pandemic scenario and now it's sort of a normal trajectory?
I wouldn't say that we're back to the pre-pandemic pace of growth, because during that time, pre-pandemic, you had government spending, as you had mentioned, di ba? Pero ngayon, di ba, pababa yung debt ng government. So they could afford to spend more on, say, infrastructure, di ba? On subsidies, etc. But unfortunately now, because the debt level is super high, they have to do some consolidation, pagtitipid ng konti.
Yeah, even operating expenses, no? Sa
Mabawas.
Yeah, even salaries, yeah. Exactly.
Pero ang interesting dyan is, I guess the big question mark is, sabi nila, sige, we're gonna do more PPPs this time. Kasi yung private sector naman, maraming mang pera yan eh. Kasi yung mga banks, for example, hindi naman nagpautang nung pandemic, so marami silang pera. So the private sector has money. And for us, the question is, will they be able to successfully convince the private sector to participate in the projects? So yun yung malaking tanong, especially after what happened during the Duterte administration, 'di ba? Yung nangyari sa water, no? Tapos yung mga nagpapalit sila ng isip, or yung sinabi ganito tapos hindi naman nasusunod, ganyan. So those are not good things, but on the positive side also, they, prior to the end of the Duterte administration, they came out with new regulations that would help the Philippines attract more foreign investors, like the Trade Liberalization Act, tapos the Retail Liberalization Act, and then the Public Service Act. So for example, certain sectors pwede ng 100% foreign ownership. Basta it's defined as a public service, pwede na. In the past, that wasn't allowed. The Trade Liberalization Act, they reduced the requirements for foreigners.
We're becoming more open from an economic support and wiggle room nila for the most part, no? Mga foreigners.
So yeah, less restrictions. So hopefully, kasi pag titignan mo yung economy, di ba, consumers, investments, government spending. So the investment side hopefully will grow and help offset some of the weakness on the government spending side.
Yeah, quite interesting. And ako, at least just my opinion, medyo believe ako sa economic and finance team ng administration. At least I think they know what they're saying, and obviously they're the big one, the big wigs, right? Okay, so let's now go on some of the stock opinions. So I actually prepared a couple for your opinion, April. Let's start with, I'm actually showing my screen as well. Let's actually start with Ayala Land. Opinion. Siguro, it's up to you. You want to say it's, from overpriced, depende sa'yo. But maybe you want to give your overall opinion about the stock.
Yeah, so okay naman yan. We actually have a buy rating. The problem is, I think, I won't be surprised though if it underperforms some other sectors, because right now yung offices, medyo hirap because there is an oversupply of offices. So maybe that will still take a year or two before it recovers and the rental rates start going up. Yun. So,
Do you see that? Do you see? Sorry to interrupt, April, but do you see that affecting their rates as well in Ayala, A-rates, from
oh
an
yeah,
occupancy
that's why the
standpoint?
REITs are not doing as well either. I mean, across the board, no? Yung REITs, 'di ba, medyo naglalag. And secondly, of course, we still don't know where inflation will peak. So interest rates pataas. So habang mataas ang interest rates, of course, we know that properties will be among the sector that is most sensitive, eh, 'di ba?
That's right. That's right. And I mean, to your point, interest rates. What's your ano? Do you have an overview of what's the terminal basis point interest rate ngayon sa Philippines? Are they going to maintain that, that spread versus Fed interest rates so far?
Okay. So, yeah, I think right now we're 125 basis points above the US. Eh. Unfortunately, we have to do that, maintain that because our inflation is so high. And
Per
we've been
peso.
doing computations and it looks like I think the earliest inflation will start to go down is probably April, ganon.
This
Kasi
year.
naalala,
This year.
yeah, naalala nyo last year, 'di ba? Mababa pa yung inflation nung February eh,
Mm.
and March. So may low base effect eh.
Right, yung base effect, right, right.
So yeah. Mm-mm.
Parang mas actually, I mean, in fairness sa Pilipinas, hindi naman tayo nag-start ng zero. Unlike the
Oh
States,
yeah.
parang 16x sila, parang zero to, imagine mo, from 0 to 475 basis points.
Yeah, which is why they're more sensitive to the rate increase. Kasi kung sanay kang magbayad ng mababa, kahit sabi mo 400 basis points lang yan. Malaki sa'yo
Malaki
yan.
yun, right. Galing kang zero eh. Parang 16x yata yung nilaktaw nila, di ba? It's crazy. And do you think interest rates will continue because the peso needs to carry its weight versus dollar?
Oh, actually, the peso has already appreciated much, which is
54
why
na.
remember earlier this year, our BSP governor said that, well, we're no longer as I guess, kasi diba, late last year he said that we have to follow the US Fed rate hikes point for point.
Right.
But earlier this year, they said, well, we'll be more inflation dependent. Unfortunately, inflation was disappointing, which is why they had to increase even more
Actually,
aggressive.
nakakagulat yung inflation April. Akala natin okay na nung December, no? Biglang humataw no January. But for the most part, it's more of the food, at least from if you do the slicing and dicing of that.
Well,
For the most
okay.
part.
The thing is, food was fast. But the other, yun na nga, yun yung masama sa economy na malakas. Eh. If your economy is super strong, you're really gonna have inflation.
And the revenge
So,
spending noong December, like people
yeah,
want to
the
buy and buy and
revenge.
buy, di ba?
So because of that, let's say I'm a businessman and I suffered from higher cost. So pinalipas lang nila yung December. Noong January, nag-increase na sila. Yun yung nakita nung January. Kaya parang nagulat lahat ng tao.
I
Ganun.
was
But I
surprised
guess,
too, yeah.
yeah, that's
crazy.
what's bad about having a strong economy, you know.
Yeah. So in the current, actually, I want to read. Good question from Len. Sabi niya, in the current market status, maybe there's many ways to answer this question, April. But her question is, do you think investing on small caps are gonna be more profitable than blue chips at this point?
Okay. Well, I would say there's a chance, but the problem is, usually, nauuna yung large caps eh. Sila muna aakyat. And then, after naging mahal sila, or let's say pag nag-bull market na, usually the funds will go to the large caps first. And then, when the large caps become expensive, then they'll rotate to the smaller ones. That is unless your small cap has a special story. Ah.
Right. Right.
Kasi ngayon, meron ding debate between passive investing and active investing. So, if there's like a story na tipong, you tell me something that, na talagang, headline worthy.
Right.
Then maybe, yeah, sure. Even if it's a small or a medium cap, people will buy it and it will outperform the market.
Yeah. All right. So you're saying, Ayala Land will potentially be, correcting down a little bit. Obviously, from a need perspective, medyo less ang need ngayon for rentals, etc.
It's just I mean, I like it, except it might underperform because of that.
Personally, I've been holding Ali, but hindi naman sila umaakit. Parang 40 pesos lang sa 38. They're like stagnant on
Oo.
that level. All right. Let's go JFC. The overpriced. You think it's expensive at this point?
Hindi naman. Okay lang naman siya. It's okay. They've been performing very well actually, and if you compare it to where it was prior to the pandemic, remember now, the di ba, before hindi natin alam kung talagang magta-turn around ng Smash Burger, but now there
Right.
are signs that Smash Burger's turning around, and they also have Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, which is
And then
also
that
performing quite well.
acquisition kind of was a negative black eye, so to speak, for Jollibee.
Mm-hmm,
Remember when they got that like boom from
Yeah.
300 I think to 270. Nag-pandemic, nag-98, bumalik ngayon sa 200 plus si JFC.
Yeah.
Quite
So yeah, I mean, it's still okay, I think. I mean, okay, all the stocks are trading below pre-pandemic levels. So
Right, that's right. Okay, PLDT. Naku, maraming issue to noong December.
Oo.
Panood ko yung opinion mo. Pares kayo ni Juanes, parang both buy kayo. Ako, I got the dip eh. So what's your take on
Oo.
PLDT?
Ako, hindi, recently I changed my mind. It's not naman that I'm bearish, but it's more of, before the smart padlock issue pala. For me, it's more of, okay, because of the bad Globe earnings that came out, I was really shocked by how bad it was, that it disappointed our earnings forecast. And then we adjusted the models. Sabi ko, so why is our fair value estimate much lower? Yung ganon. Parang nagtaka ako. Kasi I was thinking na because of the tower sale and the plans to outsource the tower business to others, they would be able to save a lot of expenses, a lot of cash, and then profits would go up in a faster pace. But then with the situation of Globe, tinitignan namin yung models, parang pangit eh. So I'm just a little bit worried that PLDT would come out with something similar. Because you have to remember the telcos, no? Their business is, the mobile business is a slow-growing business na right now. Pag lumaki man yan every year, it's single digit, mid-single digit na lang. Pero of course, yung expenses mo pataas, capex, di ba? Parang
Right.
pangit. And then, tapos during the pandemic, kaya na-excite yung mga tao is because of the fiber business. But then, since 2022, there were signs of maturing na. Yung
Oh, really?
saturation of the people who could afford. So we have to wait until the prepaid services are launched para mas maraming mag-latch
It's an
on.
aha moment. Kasi in my standpoint, parang marami pa rin may need ng broadband, at least even for diba? It's quite interesting. Yung case nila, I'm sure, I don't know what's your opinion, but in my standpoint, parang it's administrative for the most part eh. Yung issue nila before, not something that can really affect optics ng pangit yung running nila, or it can haunt them long term. What are your
But
thoughts
I
about
feel
that?
like, yeah, they made a mistake. Okay. And I mean, everybody makes a mistake. So I don't think that they deserve what happened. The way the share price was punished, was more than, I think, what they should have forgotten.
It's crazy. Actually, nakakatuwa nga si PLDT nag-bounce talaga on technical support eh. Parang kahit meron kang FA issues, 'di ba? Isingit ko lang to, sabi ni Jerickson, dito. What are your thoughts? Dito, DITO.
Well, I mean, ever since we've talked about the uphill the uphill battle of Dito, because I mean, personal opinion ko lang, I don't think it was a good idea for them to have participated in the bidding for the third telco. Because during the time that the government bidded it out, single digit na lang yung growth ng industry. I mean, you look at everybody around
Parang
you.
wala ka ng market share. I mean, to your point.
Oo, lahat naman ng tao may cellphone na eh. So if you're a third telco, you're coming in, the only way you can earn money is if you grab market share from PLDT and Globe. And PLDT and Globe are not gonna take it sitting down. Of course, hindi naman hindi naman overpriced yung, 'di ba? They have very affordable plans. And yeah, sometimes their service isn't good, but if you're gonna come in, you have to have deep pockets to have a better service na to be compelling enough for somebody to get your service and to drop their smart and globe lines, di ba?
Right. Speaking
So
of
it
deep,
means you're
yeah.
gonna lose a lot of money for a long time. So
And you're right. Speaking of deep pockets, most recently, parang dami nilang utang, di ba? At least even
oh yeah.
I think it's only dito na medyo decent. Pero Phoenix Petroleum, parang alos lahat meron affected by pandemic. Alright. Kanina we were talking about this, To Go. To Go Group. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think may tender offer na ng SM eh. I just don't remember if there's a price or not. So yeah, maybe stay out. Well, if you have it, then congratulations, or at least that's good, di ba? Di pag nag-tender offer, mag-tender na kayo. Pero to buy it now for the tender, I don't know really.
Well, kumbaga, mga Pilipino, optics o SM yan. Optics.
Baka i-privatize na nila yan eh. O,
I
diba?
think so. Yeah. All right. Interesting. I know sector-wise, you said bank kanina medyo strong sila, no? Good effect sila no nangyayaring interest rates. Sino pinakakawawang sector? Properties ba, April? What's
At this point, properties unloved. Telcos are also unloved. So I think mining medyo hindi naman lahat ng mining, pero siguro yung mga semi-rara. No?
Semi-rara, you think so? How about
Kasi
AP for power, di ba, power supply
okay.
medyo pangit. How about AP, what are your thoughts about that?
Power is okay. Kasi, although it's a defensive sector, we have a tight power supply situation right now. That's why they're still okay. They're still doing fine. So I think power will still be fine. And even Meralco, I think, is recovering.
That's interesting. Aboitiz Power, good for you?
Yeah, Aboitiz Power is good.
Okay, as I was telling you offline, Starlink, with it arriving in the Philippines already. I think mga last week, napa-order na ako eh. Nauna na ako umorder. What are your thoughts? Risk ba to sa mga local players or it's too early to tell?
It's actually Starlink is a niche player. Okay. Kasi, you just think about it. The fiber broadband business, I mean, a lot of people need it, but how many people can afford it, no?
That's right.
In the same manner, the Starlink service is a bit expensive. So yeah, there are people who need it. They will get it, pero for them to disrupt everything, that's kind of tough because it's not a cheap service also. So more of a niche player yan.
More of the A and B class.
Oo, pang A and B yan. Oo.
Interesting. All right. Grabe, ang bilis ng oras. I know you're a busy person, April. I really enjoyed the conversation. At yung chat room, sabi niya sobrang ganda mo po, crush po kita. Nakikita ko mga comment. Meron pang 17-year-old student, crush na crush ka daw. I was expecting questions about the stocks pero puro paghanga sa'yo, no? Okay, siguro habol ko na lang to April. Siguro one last question. If I'm gonna be a siguro i-rephrase ko yung question ni Ilocano. If if I'm going to go on the mindset that Philippines market is strong at this point, US market is as is today. Ano yung mix ng aking portfolio today? I mean, meron kang, dry powder there, but if you're going to kind of give sector portfolio, where do you need to go overweight at this point from a sector perspective?
Um, or country, ganun ba?
Pwedeng ganon, yeah, yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, so ayoko talaga ng US eh. Sorry ah. Hindi ko talaga type. Siguro mag-emerging markets ka na lang, 'di ba? And then in the Philippines, of course, I like a little bit of defensives like the power sector, as I said. Kasi may kwento rin dun eh, yung tight power supply situation. So, I'd still be there. And of course, the banks. But that said, okay, mawawala ba ako sa mga out of favor, let's say, properties? I don't think so. I think you should buy a little bit of that. And consumers, I also like consumers.
RLC. I just want to throw it out there. RLC.
Okay. So if you're gonna do properties, might as well stick to the likes of RLC na malaki yung mall business. Kasi yung the malls are doing well. And are not affected by what's happening in the offices. Si RLC may offices din, pero mas malaki yung malls niya. So yeah, I think, and the stock is very cheap.
On that note, I know you're a busy lady. Can I just ask you a favor, April, to say I love you 3,000? Yun lang.
Bakit? Ano yung 3,000?
No, that's like us. Yung Iron Man. Iron Man, I love you 3,000. Yun. So parang I always say that kasi. Can I ask you to say that if it's okay?
Okay, sige. I love you 3,000.
Woohoo! Nako. Oy, thank you ah. Actually, pwede mo bang isang question na lang talaga? Sorry, April. Sorry.
Sige.
Of course, yung conglomerate ni DDMPR. Parang wala na eh, no? You think so? DDMPR. Double Dragon.
Okay. So DD Meridian Park. Is that the REIT?
Yes.
The MP REIT pa? Yeah, because the problem is, di ba nasa Bay Area siya where there's the highest level of vacancies. So people are very worried that inevitably, syempre, mas higher risk mawalan siya or bumaba yung rental rates.
Mm-hmm.
Kaya, tapos of course, isa lang yung location niya, so medyo high risk. Versus the others na mas diversified yung portfolio.
Right. Okay. Final before I let you go. Do you have any Bitcoin? Have you ever purchased a Bitcoin?
No. Unfortunately.
With that note, thank you so much, ma'am. No? Sobrang privilege. Sabi ko nga sa iyo offline, ako ay tagahanga. No? Thank you, and good night. Miranda, let's type number 1 and say thank you. Thank you to Ma'am April. Any words or anything you'd like to say before you go, April?
Wala. Ano lang naman, maraming salamat sa pag-a-attend at sa pagkikinig. And I hope that I was able to help you to make an informed decision. And I hope you all start investing and have a very profitable investment this year and in the years to come.
All right, with that said, thank you again, April. Have a good rest of your night.
Yep. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Woohoo! Grabe. All right. Nako. Talaga naman, no? Teka lang, parang naglalag yata tayo. Anyways, napakaganda po ng live natin, no? Thank you very much, Ma'am April Tan, no? Sa mga hindi ko nabasang tanong, pasensya na kayo, no? Sabi ni Van, what are your views on the current state of the Philippines stock market and what factors do you believe will have the greatest impact on the performance? Nako, sayang. Sorry, no? Sorry sa mga naglalag. Nako, nakakainis. Alright. Teka lang guys, Wait lang. Wait.
is the Global Miranda Minor Group, our home of the culture of Malasaki. This is the Global Miranda Minor Group.
Alright, hindi na ako nakamute. Ayun, okay. Okay, so, Kamiranda, teka lang, tinitesting ko lang kung nakikinig ka. Grabe. Uy, nagtatanong kanina, Coach, ayun ba yung suot mong long sleeves kahapon? Marami po akong ganitong long sleeves, kayo naman po. Marami akong ganitong damit. Di ba? Tanong ko lang sa'yo, sige nga sagutin mo ko guys, sagutin mo ko. Nabigyan ko ba ng justice yung interview natin kanina kay Ma'am April Tan? Are we able to give justice there? No? Nakakatuwa yung si Ma'am April. Ganda-ganda ng babaeng yun. Alright? So what do you think? What do you think? Hala, inaaway ako. Makamute eh, no? What do you think, guys? Sige nga, can you please type? Ano yung opinion ninyo? Maganda ba? Maganda ba? Maganda ba? Ano bang tingin mo? Maganda ba yung aking host sa show? Okay ba? Okay ba yung mga tanong natin? No? Bumilib ka ba ng konti? Bumilib ka ba sa mga tanong ni Coach? Ha? Ano sa tingin mo? Ano sa tingin mo guys? Bitin ka ba? Sabi ni CryptoLink, bitin daw. Diba? Thank you. Well done. Ano sa tingin mo guys? Bigyan mo ako ng one word. Okay ba? Medyo kulang daw. Sabi ni Roel, mukhang love struck si Coach. Hindi po bitin. Sobrang bitin ako. Kinulang. 'Di ba? Pwede ba? Pwede magkaroon ng ano, 'di ba? Parang ang ganda nung batuhan namin ng sagot kasi I think she understands what I'm trying to say. Natutuwa ako kasi yung mga tanong ko sa kanya, na-elaborate niya. Na pakiramdam ko pag kinausap ko yung ibang tao on my questions, baka hindi ako maintindihan kami Randy. Parang pakiramdam ko yung kapag ako yung nagsalita, parang they will not be able to understand. So, sa palagay ko, maganda na nauunawaan niya. And for me, to be honest with you, it's a good feeling na yung tanong ko makes sense. Hindi tayo nagtatanong ng hindi niya mauunawaan. Ibig sabihin may sense yung tanong ni Coach. At ibig sabihin, nag-a-agree siya on some of my points, 'di ba? And for me that's a big deal kasi syempre, 'di ba? I mean that's April Litan, no? At talagang pine-repair natin yung ating show para talagang mahimay natin. 'Di ba Miranda, sinasabi naman natin sa inyo kung paano si Coach maghimay ng economy. Fed pivot, hard landing, decoupling. 'Di ba? At least yung questions natin nagme-make sense sa kanya. Kumaga tama, sabi ni Jen, it's a same language. 'Di ba? It's a same language. Kumaga parang if you think about it, maghanap ka ng YouTuber ngayon na magbibigay ng ability to himayin yung mga fundamentals on the level of April. Tingin ko pag hindi ko alam yung sinasabi ko, baka tawanan lang niya ako. Ano bang klase mga tanong nito? 'Di ba? 'Di ba Miranda? Ganyan ang tingin natin no. Nakakatuwa. Sabi ni Jay, naglalag ka Coach. Parang bago nyo pa elaborate ang tanong, alam na niya agad yung sasagutin. Tama ka Yugi. No, alam niya agad yung sasagutin. Sabi ni Jason, si Ma'am Jessica Sona. You guess natin dito. Grabe mga tanong ninyo. On the same page kayo, sabi ni Luigi. Mas bilib ako pag naging jowa mo si Ma'am. Uy, may asawa na yun kayo talaga. May pagkakaunawaan na kayo, Coach. Nagkakaintindihan. Sabi ni Kim, Coach Ed Kaluwag. No? Na-explain po na maiintindihan kahit ordinary. Exactly, yun ang gusto natin. Tsaka alam mo, Miranda, yun yung purpose. Ba't ko gustong magkaroon ng fundamental heavyweights this coming week? March 12. Kasi dapat yung pinag-uusapan, sino dito yung medyo nahirapan sa pinag-uusapan naming dalawa ni April? Miranda, dapat alam yun. Kasi it will add to your investment know-how pag alam mo yung pinag-uusapan naming dalawa. Dapat dumating yung panahon na pag nag-uusap kami, nakakaintindi ka na, nakaka-relate ka na. 'Di ba? Nakaka-relate ka na. So, at least maintindihan mo na pag nag-uusap yung dalawang tao, okay, ganun pala yung sinasabi nila. Kumbaga, you understand each other kasi you are also a market analyst. Kasi Coach Miranda Minor is also a market analyst, Miranda. Kaya tingin ko, mas nadalian akong intindihin siya at mas nagkaunawaan kami sa show. Kasi alam ko din naman yung mga sagot niya. At kumbaga, yung mga follow-up questions ko, Miranda, it makes sense to her. Nagigets nyo? Yung mga follow-up questions ko, na ibabato ko sa kanya ng malinaw. Kasi nag-agree din siya. No? Natutuwa ako sa kanya. Sabi ni Kim, yung decoupling coach new term sa akin, napapa-research ako. Tama. Sabi, nakakatalino pag may alam. No? Yun. Tapos nanood ng Bloomberg sa umaga. Simple but meaningful. May mga batuhan ng question kahit kami hindi gaano nakakagets lahat ng mga terminology. Sabi ni I Am Warrior, simple but meaningful. Yung mga sagutan nyo, coach, sulit na sulit yung interview mo. Maraming salamat. Coach, when po kaya ang Tony Talks? Ikaw talaga. Sabi ni Kim, mga usapan nyo, coach, parang pang CEO, higher management ng isang company. Ganun ba? Sabi ni Real, tekang i-highlight ko yung mga tanong ninyo. Teka lang i-highlight ko yung mga questions ninyo, yung mga sinasabi niyo. Wait lang. So sabi dito ni ayan, sabi ni Kim, teka lang. Sabi ni Jason, sana magka-live ka, coach, about sa terminology ng economy. Oo, alam mo lahat ng hindi discuss ko yan sa fundamental heavyweights. Lahat ng hindi mo naunawaan sa show natin ngayon, didiscuss ko lahat yan dun sa fundamental heavyweights. 'Di ba? Sabi ni Jay, part 2 niyan, coach. Luigi dry powder. Ako, maganda ang dry. Nako, ang ganda. Buti nakuha mo yan, Luigi. May mga terms kasi kami na parang if you think about it, parang kami lang nakakaalam, no? Pero hindi serya, hindi yan sikreto. Malalaman mo din yan, Miranda. Sabi ni Real Jan, simple but understandable. Talaga siya, maisingit lang talaga yung raffle talaga si Jet, no? Part 2, sige, hanapan natin ng part 2. Yeah. Nagtataka, coach, sa I love you 3,000 si Miss April. Akala kong anong I love you. Oo nga eh. Pakaganda kasing babae, no? Alright. Actually, parehas tayo, Sinbad. Gusto ko sanang tanungin din niya. Kasi ang tagal na nilang ganun, interface, di ba? Ang tagal na eh, no? Nakakaano. Sabi ni OD, habang nakikinig ako, coach, dumudugo utak ko. Hindi, ngayon lang yan. Pero pag naunawaan mo, at alam mo na yung sinasabi niya, at kumbaga dumating ka na sa panahon na kaya mo nang unawain yung sinasabi ni April, mas magiging magaling ka sa investments. Gusto ko lang sabihin sa inyo, guys, no, ito yung underlying, this is one of the underlying message na gusto kong sabihin. Na the reason kung bakit tayo kayang sumabay sa level ni April is we're also a market analyst. No? Natutuwa tayo kasi yung kaalaman natin on the industry is something na nai-share ko sa inyo in my live gabi-gabi, no? Na mahalaga 'yon. Kailangan natin, even sinabi niya nga kanina, 'di ba, na even Bitcoin tumataas yung nagkaroon ng quantitative easing, 'di ba? Nagkaroon ng pag-angat ng price ni Bitcoin. So, kumbaga at some point nakikita din niya na merong epekto yung Bitcoin at this point, no? Kumbaga naapektuhan ng market yung price ng coin. So, yun ang nakaka-proud ka, Miranda. And kinig ka lang sa akin, I'm going to give you meaningful insights about the economy and the market on that level, no? Para at least guided ka, and we're not just talking purely technicals, we're actually looking as well for fundamentals, ka, Miranda. All right? Sabi ni Robin na iwan daw siya sa kwentuhan pero gusto pa rin niya matuto. Yan. Sabi ni Marv, sige, why not? Marvin. Oy, Marvin. Sige, Marvin Hermo, invite natin yan next time. Sige. Alright. Bakit wala siyang Bitcoin? Di ko. Alright, lipat na ako sa lahat ng 3 sektor na sinabi niya. Sabi ni, paring Melox, Rex Mendoza, okay din makausap tungkol sa market. Yes, I'll get yan. Si Rex yan. Alright. Salamat, sabi ni Yugi. Maraming salamat. Alright. Salamat, guys. Alright. Sana ma-topic mo about CBDC. Sige, good question yan. Alright. Okay. Ayan. Uy guys, maraming salamat natutuwa ako sa support ninyo. We're still almost 500 viewers for today. And if you missed the show, guys, rewind na lang kayo. Nasa public naman itong video na ito. And I hope that you learned, Miranda, on this interview. And, ako nagustuhan ko din yung turnout no? Syempre medyo busy si April. So next interview naman. And of course, this program is brought to us by Global Miranda Minor Group, Buildy, and Feast Gold, and of course in partnership with COL Financial. Maraming salamat ka, Miranda. God bless you. And maraming salamat po sa inyo. And of course, again, thank you, COL Financial, and of course, Miss April Litan, the Chief Equity Strategist of COL, for your meaningful support and insight about the market. God bless you, Miranda. I love you 3,000. And maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Oy, by the way, if you need help on understanding lahat ng sinabi namin, pinag-usapan namin, but parang ang ganda-ganda ng pag-uusap nila, lahat ng yan hihimayin po natin on the Fundamental Masterclass happening on March 12. Abangan nyo yung Miranda. Alright, with that said, I love you and bye-bye. Salamat po. God bless. And I love you 3,000.